Welcome in to another episode of Building the Pride. I'm your host, Drew, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you?
Just as handsome as ever, Drew. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good. Matt got some more money, huh?
Yeah, Stafford.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got finalized. We'll pop right into news and notes around the NFL.
Yeah.
I believe it was 44 million guaranteed this year and 48 next year. Does that sound correct?
Well, what I heard was no guaranteed money.
Outside of this year?
Probably, yeah, I think so. So, like, a trade basically what it looks like they're doing is they're continuing to give him raises and provide the flexibility to basically be like, we'll see where this goes.
Yeah. All right. So I'm looking at here, 44 million this year. 4 million has already been paid. The other 40 million fully guaranteed. If Stafford is on the Rams roster at the start of free agency this next year, he'll lock in another 40 million.
Oh, well, that's interesting. So
basically, it's a roster bonus of guaranteeing your final year in the contract. Snead came out and said that he wants to have. He's like, I understand there's a scenario where at some point we don't have Stafford on our team.
Yeah.
So I need to prepare for that, but like we want him here for more years. So, of course, that's always what you say to a guy that you just paid $44 million, right? Like, we obviously want him here, but at the end of the season, it may be a little bit different story. You never know.
Yeah, 100%. So around the NFL, there isn't much going on because it's the dead period. So we're waiting for like rookie training camps to come up. So let's see. Let's go around the league here. So the Ravens cut Justin Tucker. Good. Yeah. Seems like an easy decision after the kind of shenanigans that he got up to and the fact that he trailed off at the end of the year. The NFL announced that the 2027 NFL draft will take place in DC. They're expecting 1 million plus
Commanders.
Yep. Who have inked a new deal for a new stadium. They'll bring them back to DC.
DC is pretty small. I wonder where they're going to put it.
Yeah. Let's see.
Aaron Rodgers is still homeless.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, teamless.
It's amazing how quick I forgot about that guy when he's not aggrandizing himself in the media.
Yeah.
So not much.
I did watch that Aaron Rodgers documentary on Netflix, by the way.
Okay.
Called Enigma, and I'm just like, all right, I'm kind of curious how this is, and he's just as batshit crazy as we think. There's no hiding it.
I'm shocked you could watch it, to be honest.
It's that train wreck thing. You're like, oh, you just you have to like watch it. You have to look at it, regardless of the devastation it shows. But yeah. And I saw that there was a $100 million lawsuit filed against the NFL for allowing Shedeur Sanders to slip from a top 5 projected pick into the 5th round.
Filed by whom?
A John Doe. So apparently somebody had told Sanders' camp that they should sue the NFL. They didn't seem to be interested in it. And some 55-year-old John Doe from the Colorado area is suing the NFL for $100 million in damages because of mental anguish watching this guy fall through to the 5th round when clearly better or worse quarterbacks were taken ahead of him. So that will be thrown out, I'm sure, quite fast.
Oh, you can't. Because anybody who slips anything past their NFL Draft Advisory Board ranking would then file a lawsuit.
Right.
So that'll never happen.
And they said that there were probably some racial undertones to it, which is why they thought the $100 million was a reasonable settlement or a reasonable request. So
nobody in a league almost overwhelmingly populated by African Americans is going to win a lawsuit based on racial discrimination when a black guy doesn't get drafted where they thought. That's just ridiculous.
I know. So
I mean,
that's your humor around the NFL today too, because that's just absolutely absurd.
It is absurd. But that's not what we're primarily talking about today. So today we're going to talk about two things, Mike. We are going to take a look at, number one, when the contract spikes in the first round of Lions extensions are going to hit.
Oh yeah.
To kind of get a better idea of what the cap situation looks like for the next 2-3 years. And then we're going to also talk about this Athletic article that gave the Lions a ranking of F, the worst in the NFL, for their process on draft day. So Donkey Kong might be interested in that one. The Athletic article has caused a bit of a stir in Lions fan media, which we're obviously a part of. And I don't really know why. I know it's because somebody that lots of people listen to gave the Lions a bad grade. But that's just an opinion, and it doesn't matter. Like if I was in science class and I got an F, I wouldn't be allowed to pass the class, right?
Right.
Okay. Well, I mean, like Detroit still gets to hold training camp and
Brad still has his job,
right? So it doesn't matter. But like I think it's because somebody says like you guys aren't doing a very good job. So I just wanted to take a look at that in the context that they meant it. And then compare it to what we know Brad Holmes does.
Okay.
And just say, I don't know that this really matters, dude.
Right.
Lions fans each getting $1 million for every Phantom Flag 12 cost them. Who's 12? Oh, Aaron. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I would love $1 million. That would be great. I am also going back through and watching all the games from the 2024 season. Right now, I start my new job on Monday, and so I wake up every morning and I watch like 2 games, and I get through them in about 40
or the full.
Oh yeah, I can't watch a full game anymore with commercials and talking. It's ridiculous. So I just do the condensed versions. I get through the games in like 45 minutes, so I have a little breakfast, take some notes, refresh my memory on stuff, and call it good. I'm through week 8 right now, so we just beat the Titans.
How are we looking? What are your thoughts? How are we going to end this thing?
Well, they're looking pretty good. They're 5-1, 6-1, something like that. Hutch has gotten hurt. So what stands out? What? Yeah.
Spoilers! Come on, man! You got to alert those things.
Already happened. So I mean, so the things that I think stick out, like on a rewatch, which I recommend. It doesn't matter what you're watching, like. Anything you watch on television, even if you don't like it, rewatch it. Give yourself some time and then rewatch it. I think rewatching it makes it better. Like you get more out of it. Here's what I saw. I thought Josh Pascal stood out more than I remember him standing out. He made more plays than I remember him making. Everyone was giving Terrion Arnold such a hard time because of the penalties that he committed. Carlton Davis committed as many penalties as Terrion Arnold did, and he's an NFL vet, right? So I thought that Terrion played a lot better as the year went on. I'm only halfway through the season right now. Jahmyr Gibbs is awesome.
Great pick.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it. No, he wasn't a great pick. So, all in all, of course, they're winning games, and they crushed Dallas and they crushed Tennessee. So that goes a long way with me because I like watching blowouts.
Right.
But I'm happy with the way the Lions play, and I don't want to just bash them to continue to bash them, but Jared Goff got away with a lot in the season. There were,
what do you mean?
Fumbles that bounced back up into his chest.
Oh,
he
gotcha.
had multiple interceptions that were overturned from penalties that were against the defense. I think that his turnover count could have been a lot higher, except that the ball bounced their way, quote unquote.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes
whatever.
better be lucky than good, right?
Right. Precisely. So Mike, which would you rather talk about first? The cap thing or the Athletic article?
Well, let's talk about the Athletic article because I think that will lead into our cap discussion of drafted players and everything else. And I have not read the Athletic article, so I'm going to be listening and learning, much like the ones of people that are listening to us right now.
Yeah, the ones. Okay, so here is the article. I subscribed just so that we could do this. Okay, so let's talk about who wrote it. Let's make it bigger.
Yeah, there we go. Zooming in.
So this is done by a guy named Austin Mock, May 1st of this year. Okay, so...
Is it ironic that his name is Mock and he's talking about drafts?
A little bit. So this whole article is based on the idea of like there is a process that is largely based upon positional value. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is stuff that we've said before when we've talked about positional value. Rookie contracts are cheap, and if teams can find a star player at a premium position, they'll be paying him far below market value for 4 to 5 years. That's a huge deal.
Must be somebody that watches us because we say that all the time.
Right. We do.
I know, right? It's a thing.
That's it. Yeah, it's a huge deal when GMs are tasked with trying to build competitive rosters by maximizing every dollar they spend against the salary cap. On the flip side, if team picks a star player in a non-premium position, while it's great to have that star player, they lose out on the potential of added surplus value. So basically, the argument here is if you draft a quarterback with a first round pick and you hit on that player, let's say Jaden Daniels, you get a guy who is playing above the market value of what you are paying him because his rookie contract money is locked in, right? Like there's no negotiating.
Instead of 45 or 50 million bucks, you're paying 10 or less.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So take the same team at the same pick, and if you pick a safety. So right now, for example, in the 2026 big board, which is a preliminary big board, Ohio State safety Caleb Downs is rated, I believe on PFF's big board, is the number 1 overall player to come out in next year's draft. And he is a safety. So if you were to take Caleb Downs at this pick, he would be something like, let's just make up a number, the 7th highest paid safety in the NFL day one, because going number 1 or number 5 overall or whatever is so high, even on a rookie wage scale, that he is cracked the top 10 in his position group. But if you draft the quarterback at that same money, he's probably like the 35th highest player or something. So there's a huge disparity in like the relative amount of money you were paying these guys at the same pick relative to their position group. And so the argument that the Athletic is making here is that I have more money to spend if I draft the quarterback and both players hit. I have more money if I get the quarterback because now I'm not forced to go out into the market and pay a premium to acquire that player at a market rate. I can get that player below market rate.
Right.
So I draft. And so positional value is it's not a philosophy so much as basically saying, let's look at what the NFL, all 32 teams of the NFL, are paying the most money to which players and then rank them within their position groups. And that gives us which positions the NFL believes are the most valuable because that's where they're spending their money. So this is where the article is coming from. I did all that to say that this is where the article is coming from. So our goal today is to put everything together: player value, positional value, and trade value before grading each NFL team's performance in the draft. And so then they go into some more about what they want. They give their rankings, and right down here at the very bottom are the Detroit Lions. Okay, So what I want to go back to is this line right here. Player value, so where they rank against consensus. Is it a reach? Is it a value when you pick Tyreek Williams at 28? I don't know. What does the consensus board say? And that's just an average of the opinions out there, not specific to any player or GM. Player value, positional value, trade value. Okay. Player value. Brad Holmes, as we know, has the guys that he feels fits the Lions culture and then does the type of thing that they want to see on the roster, right? And he will take those players regardless of where anybody else thinks they should be taken. So, like, I think the best example in this year's draft was Isaac Tesla, right? They traded up 32 picks. They traded 2 future third-round picks and their comp pick they got for Aaron Glenn, 102. So, effectively, they traded 3 players for the ability to go draft this guy.
Supposedly, there were other people, there are other teams that were trying to trade into that position to get him too.
Correct. So we will never know. Supposedly, what was really going on.
Says.
Rumor mill says, right? So that those rumors turned out to be true with Jahmyr Gibbs. It got confirmed like 3 years later, 2 years later. So we will just have to wait to see. Positional value, yet another philosophy or way of looking at roster building that we know Brad Holmes doesn't adhere to. Like, if anything this year taught me is that Brad Holmes is simply BPA. He does not draft for need. He does not take positional value into account. And then
he doesn't take that as his primary consideration.
Well, I'm now almost to the point where he doesn't consider it at all. I mean, I have a hard time finding examples where I think that he was like, oh, well, we should take him because of the things the positional value methodology states are good. Yeah. Like, I think Brad would say, we traded up for Tesla because, like, we liked what we saw at the Senior Bowl. Like, he's really athletic. He's got big hands, no drops. Like, he's played in the slot. We think we can have him develop as an X. Like, we're excited to like what he can bring to the team, both, as a wide receiver and like special teams. Like, I think that's like a snippet that you would hear from Brad Holmes. Whereas like positional value for Isaac Tesla would be something like, this is a real reach because we had him as like the 152nd player on our board. He's got, he is a wide receiver, but he had really low production at Arkansas. He had a terrible quarterback, or whatever. And like those kind of things go into the kind of player assessment. But I think when Brad Holmes saw him at the Senior Bowl and then watched tape of him at Arkansas, he kind of fell in love with the player, Right. And so if he's calling around, gauging other teams and like whatever that pre-draft process looks like for him, and he's hearing like, oh yeah, it looks like Tesla could be higher on some other people's boards. Like, there's the media's boards, like what we're trying to figure out, right? Those are our best guesses.
Right.
And then there's what the teams are doing in their buildings, which we will never know unless they leak that shit like the Cowboys seem to do every year. So then Brad trades up to get those guys. So this year he traded up for 3 players. He traded up for Ratledge, Tesla, and Miles Frazier. And when you trade up, you're usually getting some kind of tax in order for the privilege to move up and take that player.
Right.
So you're giving up more than, quote unquote, what you would have spent if you had just stuck and picked, right? And so teams have been praised, like Philadelphia, like Baltimore, for just, quote unquote, letting the draft come to them. That's not who Brad Holmes is. Brad Holmes is I'm the shark that smells blood in the water. I'm going to go get it, right?
Right.
And if you break down his trades, especially his trades up, he is willing to give up what is being asked in order to go get his guy. Okay. So it's no surprise to me that Brad Holmes grades the worst out of all teams in the NFL when compared to the context that Austin Mock wrote this article, because he does the exact opposite of all of it.
Right.
So of course,
where were the Raiders in that list? Were they also an F?
Let me see, Michael.
And the reason I ask is obviously they took Ashton Genty, right? And Ashton Genty is currently as a running back has the second most guaranteed money of any running back in the NFL, behind Saquon Barkley.
The Raiders came in at 23rd overall and were given a D.
A D. All right. So I wasn't sure how much of the positional value, because obviously running back at 6 is not screaming out positional value, right?
Hey, what's up, Hatters?
Or trade value for that matter.
Right.
I was curious, like, how much that hurt them.
Sure. I don't know, like, because I didn't read the entirety of the article. I was looking for the context that the article provided.
Yeah.
And so when I read the context, I was like, this is straight opposite of what Brad does. So of course they're not going to like it. So the Lions fandom agrees with Donkey Kong, this A double plus, right? So Donkey Kong, this is for you, for the chat, for Mike, and for anybody. And I'm going to give my take while everybody else is quickly typing theirs in the chat. Why do you feel, what makes you feel that this is an A double plus draft? Is it simply that Brad drafted players? Would it matter what players he drafted? If, like, so the Raiders famously years ago took a kicker in round 1. If Brad Holmes did that,
Jankowski?
That's right. If Brad Holmes did that, would you still be like, this is an A plus draft? It's a serious question. I'm not trying to find a way to slam Brad Holmes here. I'm just curious as to what the reasoning behind why you feel it's a double A plus draft.
So for me, I wouldn't say A plus. And I think I said this last week. When you're drafting at 28, if you're the 28th pick every round, you don't have the sexy people, right? You're not getting the stud edge rushers, right? You're not getting the best cornerback or potentially dual player, offensive and defensive player that we've seen in decades. Like, you're just not getting those people.
Right.
So you have to, like, temper your enthusiasm to go, let's see, who did we get? So, like, Tyleik Williams, man, when you compare his stats and metrics to the other DTs in the draft and even previous drafts, he's real up there. So I didn't know much about him before that. A lot of the mocks had him going in the second round, but we needed a DT, right? Lee McNeil's hurt. We got DJ Reader, who's a little bit older. Like, we need some rotation dudes in there. I was fine with the pick. I don't know enough about him to be super pumped, but I also know that it is a position of need when it comes to our team makeup and our roster depth. Ratledge, I was excited about because I do think we need a guard, and I think that I've seen a lot of mocks that had him going in the first round, the back end of the first round, and here we are getting him at 57. So I was excited about that one. Everybody else, it's like, okay, Tesla seems like he could be a good dude. I'm excited to see what he can do. Frazier, another inside, another guard. Hassanainen, I don't know. He seems like the dude willing to die on the field for Campbell. All right, cool. Like, we got some guys that are just go-getters. So to me, I kind of like Hatter's C until we see him play. I feel probably B until we see him play, just because I think that there's enough that says these guys are players. Not just dudes with a heartbeat and that we can throw on the field, but I think these guys are Lions type of players.
So to kind of mirror what you're saying, Brian says, I feel like Brad consistently finds a high percentage of solid or better NFL players. That means he is always among the better drafts each year. Many drafts don't look good right away. So agreed, because and to what you just said, like, we haven't seen these guys play yet. So
How many people were as pumped about Amon-Ra St. Brown as they are now?
Right, exactly.
Right after the draft.
Exactly. So here's something that I'm kind of struggling with at the moment. When we talk about grading a draft, we haven't seen these guys play. So that can't be a part of the grade. It just can't be because we don't know.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about the grade of like a draft, like why the Lions got an F, or some pundits gave them an A.
Right.
And I think the reason is, what is your opinion of the process that team used basically to acquire these players? Some people will really enjoy the aggressiveness, the aggression, I don't know, that Brad exhibits when he's doing the draft. Like, they want to see guys go up and get their guy, right? Like, trades are fun.
Yeah.
It's exciting when you see the Lions go up and like the emblem on the screen changes and it's like, oh, Detroit's moved up. Ooh, who's it for? Like they have to have somebody in mind, and it does give us a look into how they feel about the class, because you're trading up. They're making a sacrifice to go get this particular player. And
which also raises some expectations too, right?
Sure it does. You're right. And when I see grades, the first thing I think is they don't matter. And then the second thing I think is you're grading your opinion of the process that team used. And there are different.
Yeah.
And it's just subjective. So, it doesn't matter. This is all just in good fun, basically. So my thing is, so the Lions in 2026 have 7 picks. They're not all their picks, right? It's picks they picked up in future years for other trades they've made, that type of thing. But they have 7, right? So they probably felt, we can feel free to burn 2/3 to go get Tisla now because we like him and we have the bullets in our gun, right? Everyone's leaving us. So they went and got their guy, right? Which is one of the things people respect about Brad. However, it is now difficult for me to believe that Isaac can live up to basically saying you're worth 3 players. They took him in the 3rd round. They gave up 3 third-round picks to get him. Are you worth 3 players that Brad Holmes would otherwise have drafted if he had not traded those picks? So here's the thing that I have, people have not been able to answer to my satisfaction when I've asked them. If Brad Holmes is so good at drafting, why does he have to trade up to go find the talent?
Because that's part of what makes him good, is finding the guys that are a perfect fit and making sure we acquire them, whatever means necessary. And you and I talked a little bit about this at some point in pre-draft processes. We have a whole bunch of picks. We have very few actual roster spots that are really going to be up for grabs. So do we use some of those extra picks to go up and just ensure that we're going to get dudes that we know this person's going to fill a spot, instead of let's take 7 guys, 8 guys, and 3 or 4 of them might fill a spot? Or do we go get the 3 and 4 that we know that fill a spot, even if we use content or draft assets that we could otherwise have used? So I think that's kind of what he was potentially doing as well.
Gotcha. So that's a good segue into this next thing that I want to talk about. Let's just take a really quick look at the depth chart after the draft. Okay, so
to screen.
Yeah, I'm sharing it right now. Oh, there you go. So this is ESPN, so it's inherently wrong to some degree. So let's just talk about it. Goff, Hendon Hooker, Kyle Allen, those are your quarterbacks. I've been hearing that Kyle Allen is there to push Hendon Hooker. It makes more sense now because they cut Jake Fromm, so you're not going to push him for the 3rd option. So
Right.
you're bringing him in to see if he can push Hooker. Running back, Gibbs, Montgomery, Reynolds, Vaki. Totally fine with that order.
Last year, the first two were switched.
Yep. So, I mean, like, Gibbs just played too well to be, I think, considered the 1B option. So this one isn't exactly what I think is correct, but St. Brown, Raymond, Tom Kennedy. I would have this as St. Brown, Dominique Lovett, and then you put Raymond behind Jamison Williams and a Tesla behind Tim Patrick. Whatever, right? Semantics.
Right.
St. Brown, obviously, pillar of the team. Jamison Williams, we're not sure what his contract status is going to be. Tim Patrick re-signed on a 1-year deal. Raymond restructured his deal. He'll be a UDFA. No. He'll be an unrestricted free agent after this season. Kennedy has just been a guy. Ronnie Bell is a practice squad player. Tesla's a rookie, and he's in his training wheels year.
Yep.
Dominic Lovett, if he makes the team, it'll be because he's a gunner on special teams. And then throw them up in the air and see where they land.
Yeah.
Like St. Brown had
preseason's for,
120 catches last year, I think. What?
So that's what preseason's for. That's
Right.
the seeing where they land.
Yep.
You know where St. Brown, JMO, and Patrick land.
Yeah. So
on the team.
Gibbs, Williams, and Laporta each had between 50 and 60 catches last year. St. Brown had 120. So, like, I would be surprised if that changed much this upcoming season. So those are your skill position guys. Laporta, Brock Wright, Kenny Yeboah, and Zylstra. I would have Zylstra and Yeboah switch because Zylstra's been on this team and knows what to do. But it's possible that they want Yeboah as the third tight end because he's really big and he's a blocking tight end. But I don't have any problem with this list, really. So here's where we first get our first taste of maybe something different. Offensive line. Decker, Mahogany, Ragnow, Ratledge, Sewell. This is my starting offensive line today if we had to put a team out on the field.
Yep.
I think you put Christian Mahogany in a battle for left guard with Glasgow. I think he would win that battle. If you look at, I know it's a small sample size, but like if you look at the game and 3/4 that Mahogany played last year, he's scoring in the 80s and 90s. Glasgow scoring in the 60s. As long as he's not missing assignments, he should be fine. And then you have Glasgow to be your effectively your primary backup for maybe 4 or 5, maybe all 5 spots on the offensive line, but primarily center and guard. Ratledge is there. Frazier's his backup. I kind of like it.
Yeah.
But what that means is if we look over here at this third string depth, I don't know that Jamarco Jones, maybe he's a practice squatter, or Awoshika probably gets cut. Aguyakun, who's been on the roster now, I think for 2 years, maybe a year. Sorsdal. Are they going to make the roster? I'm at this point betting no. Because you've got
Sorsdal, even his limited action last year looked like crap.
Right. And
he was not impressive.
he was a tackle in college. They asked him to play guard, then they moved him back to tackle. Now he's Sewell's primary backup. And that they're going to keep Skipper. And then I think the only other question on that that group is who's going to fight to be the primary listed backup center, even if Glasgow's actually the primary backup.
Yeah.
If you keep Glasgow, Manu, Frazier, and Skipper, that's 9 linemen. So do you even have the 10th spot open? What do you want the rest of the roster to look like?
I mean,
So,
I think they're going to keep 10.
So, so then you have what? You have a battle between Nice, Awoshika, and Sorsdal, maybe Moody for the last spot. Four-way battle for the 10th spot on the line. That's a pretty good spot to be in, right?
Yep.
Okay, so like I kind of like where the offense is. Don't see a lot
offense
of
hasn't been a problem for us.
Nope. Don't see a lot of
injuries.
spots that are available, right? Like you mentioned earlier, like there doesn't seem to be like why do you need 2 future third round picks if you don't have roster spots for these guys?
Yep.
Okay, defensive line or defense in total. We've got Aiden Hutchinson. So I think these two guys should be switched here. McNeil's obviously the starter when healthy.
Yep.
He's not. So Onwuzurike would be my bet for week 1 at least. And then Williams would be the backup at Reader and Onwuzurike's spot, but probably also get starter level snaps.
Yeah, rotational.
Right. So like I could see DJ Reader like first and second down, Hutch, Onwuzurike, Reader, first and second, third down, out goes Reader, in comes Williams. Pass, and we'll just see where the other side wears out. Then you've got Pascal here. I think this is Davenport's job right off the bat. And so like I think that Josh Pascal is your first or second alternate defensive lineman for anywhere from Aiden's job to 3-tech to where Marcus Davenport would play.
Do you think Davenport would be there if he was healthy?
I think my bet is week 1, Davenport is the guy that they've lined up across from Aiden Hutchinson.
Okay. That's what I would think as well.
Okay. And then, of course, they'll have their sub packages where like these 6 guys are going to get mixed up in different alignments and like positions. So it's kind of a salad of defensive alignment. So I don't even want to try and predict.
Keep them fresh.
Right. So then you've got Al-Quadin Muhammad, who I think played his way onto the roster. Basically because they didn't invest much in the defensive line in the draft. 2 players, right? Williams and Hassanin. So I think because of what I'll call the limited investment, I think Muhammad has an opportunity to play his way onto the roster. McNeil, let's assume he starts on the NFI list for, was it 4 or 6 games, something like that?
Yeah, probably 6.
Wingo, right there with him, and then he'll be a guy that comes in. They signed Roy Lopez to a 1-year deal, so he's going to be a nose tackle for them. I would actually say he's going to be getting like backup level snaps at nose tackle, or more depending on the injury situation. Hassanin, I think this is going to be he'll be like the 50th guy on the roster, and this is you're working
primary
out and
special
learning
teamer.
here. What?
Primary special teamer.
Yeah. Pat O'Connor, they brought him back. There's something there they like in him. But he is more of a nose as well. So like, and then you also have Broderick Martin, who is a nose. So without McNeil on the roster, you have Reader, Williams, O'Connor, Martin, Lopez, who can all play nose tackle. So you're 5 deep right now at the run stuffing defensive nose tackle position.
Right.
So 3-tech is where you're weaker, right? So McNeil's out, so you have Onwuzurike, Pascal, and Williams can play some of that role. And then who's the other 3 technique on the next 3 technique on the roster? I've got it as Miles Adams, and he's all the way down here as a 4th stringer. So
yeah, probably that's about right.
like Ukwu is more of a stand-up rush linebacker. I haven't seen much of Agude play. I haven't seen much of Gilbert play. Nowatzki looks like a linebacker to me, not necessarily an edge player. Well, he's actually listed as a.
He's listed
Nowatzki.
as Will. Yeah.
So I messed that up a little bit.
Right.
Hassanine looks. I mean, talking the talk sounds great. And like this guy, I believe him when he says he'll run through a brick wall. I think that he would actually try and do that. And if his love and like dedication and passion matches up with like his physical athletic capability, he might have a hell of a guy.
Yeah.
But he was a 6th round pick for a reason. Even the Lions passed on him 5 times, and then they took him.
Yeah.
So is he a St. Brown or is he a guy like James Houston? We don't know yet. We're hoping he's more like.
I think he's going to probably be closer to a Rodrigo.
Right.
Play a little bit higher than your draft position, but you're not resetting the market at contract renewal time, right?
Exactly. Linebackers also just about zero investment here, right? So they re-signed Derek Barnes. That's the investment. But you have basically the same group that you started last year with. You've got Anzalone in a contract year, Campbell and Barnes freshly re-signed. Then you've got Rodrigo, who's hurt, and we don't know when he's coming back. Grant Steward, he's primary a special team. Steward. Ezekiel Turner, who was on the roster last year during the injury famine there.
Yep.
Nowatzki, who was there.
Donkey Kong must be catching up. A+ because Brad got his guys, the guys that he wanted. He legit goes in the draft with a 10-player board. They target their guys and got them. So
then is every draft that Brad Holmes done an A++ draft? Because when have we not been able to say that about one of his drafts? That's an honest question.
And are you ever not getting your guy? Like if you're picking him, that's because you want him, right?
Right.
And by default, everybody gets their guys.
So then we've got Anthony Pittman, he was on the team. He went for Pittsburgh for a year. Now he's back. He's primarily a special teamer. And Abraham Beauplan? I haven't seen much of him. So that's pretty. So the only thing that I'll say about the linebacker group is that they re-signed Barnes and that the injuries last year shook this group out into the guys who get to try again this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think Gilbert and Beauplan make the team because I don't think they're keeping 3, 6, 9. They're not keeping 10 linebackers.
Probably not.
Right. So I think your main 3, Anzalone, Campbell, Barnes will make it. Rodrigo, Steward, Turner will make it. Nowatzki, I think, will make it. And I think that's probably where the list ends. That's 7 guys. Yeah. And a couple of those might end up starting on the NFI or the injured reserved list, depending on how quickly Rodrigo comes back. So maybe Pittman sneaks in, or maybe that's the thing that gets Nowatzki on the roster for a few games. I'm not sure which, but.
So then we move to the secondary, and so we've got year 2 Terry and Arnold, two of the top 5 safeties in the NFL, and the newest Lion, DJ Reed, taking over for Carlton Davis. And then Amik Robertson, who broke his arm, who should be ready to go for the season, but Jack Campbell broke his arm in the playoffs. Khalil Dorsey is primarily a special teams gunner. Lauren Strickland and Eric Hallett are safeties who I hope never have to play. Ennis Rakestraw is kind of a question mark. Yeah. Is he going to be? Could he push for a starting nickel job? Is he outside cornerback number 3? I don't know.
Right.
Like, what role will he carve out for himself if he can this year? That's the question I have going in. Stanley Thomas Oliver III. Sounds like he should be a British lord, I think I don't know that he'll make the team. Maurice Norris, who they re-signed, I don't know if he'll make the team. Dan Jackson from Georgia. I would assume is the equivalent of these players, only more athletic and on a rookie deal. And then they signed Avante Maddox, who I believe will be the backup nickel corner. Like that signing. And they also signed Rock Yassin, who I don't see on this list unless they've cut him already. I know that he was hurt, but he was also hurt when they signed him. So, I mean, like, I'll just go to Over the Cap right just real quickly and see if I can find Yassin still on the roster. So it still says they have 79 total players and not 90. He is on this roster. So we'll see. So, I mean, oops. Here we go. Excellent. So I think that they'll probably roll with those starting 5 defensive backs, plus Rakestraw, plus Maddox, plus Jackson, plus Dorsey. So that's 9. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it's a lot of guys.
yeah, we only get 53 of them, so
right. But if you
there's
look
going
at
to have to be some cuts.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like when you look at that roster, like this is the other thing that I've heard a lot of people say, like, oh, Aiden Hutchinson's coming back, like you don't need another edge. And I'm like, so when other teams like Philadelphia just consistently draft defensive linemen and offensive linemen all the time, I like, are the Lions doing that? Yes. Are they doing it on the defensive side of the ball? They started off pretty heavy. Like they went McNeil on Uzurike in year 1. Then they got Aiden and Pascal in year 2. And then year 3, not as much. And then this last year, no. And then it was Arnold Rakestraw. And I don't remember who the third round.
Yeah, then we went secondary that third year.
And then this year, Williams. And then in the 6th round, Hassanine. So like it's been heavy up front. Took a break. Now we're back to it. But you didn't take an edge. Like Aiden Hutchinson fell to you at number 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
he didn't have to far fall though.
No, I mean not far.
Jesus.
I mean,
yeah.
But I mean he should have been the number 1 pick in that class. I mean, and Trayvon Walker's been fine.
Right.
He has not played poorly. But he's not Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah. Trades up because he goes and gets a select few guys that he wants.
And I don't have a problem with him going and getting those guys so long as he continually hits on them.
Right.
Right?
So
because
far, generally so good. I mean, not perfect, right? Broderick Martin is probably not going to, may not make the team this year.
It's true.
But for the most part, he's generally hit on on his guys.
That's right.
At least the guys that he's targeted by moving up.
Right. So all I'm saying is that it will look very, very bad if you move up for a guy who doesn't work out because you made a bigger investment in that player and didn't get anything out of it, right? So worse than if you had just taken a player and then it didn't work out.
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit of what the flack is on JMO, right?
Sure.
That him being a bust. Well, is he a bust because he was hurt? Well, we knew that he was going to be hurt, and he got suspended for doing the gambling thing or whatever. But I think if we hadn't traded up to get him, I don't think it would have been as much. Because again, when you trade up to get somebody, all of a sudden that ratchets up expectations. We really, really wanted you so much that we're using other assets to get you. That does raise those expectations, and I think that also hurts JMO a little bit in that whole like, is he a bust or not thing? Mm-hmm. And I don't think he is. Like he played really well last year. He did everything that we expected. We didn't get as much out of him the first year or two from injuries and the suspensions, but I think overall he's been pretty solid, and I think most everybody would love to have him back. After his 5th year.
I'm in that camp. Like I am in the let's bring JMO back if I had to do it today.
Camp. So, I mean, I wouldn't give him $30 million, but like if he comes back at a reasonable price, I'd love to have him. And to me, if you want to bring someone back for a second contract, almost by definition, it wasn't a bust, right?
Okay, so speaking of that, that's a nice little segue into our other topic that we're going to talk about today, which is, yeah, well done, sir.
No,
The 2000 or the Detroit NFL, oh my God, NFL Detroit Lions 2025 salary cap and beyond. So you and I off camera have been talking about like how many guys can you re-sign? Can you re-sign?
yeah, Brian says Brad's nearly 100% in the top 10 of in the top 100 of the draft. His later swings miss more often, but I'm cool with a Broderick and a Sorsdal for every Amon-Ra St. Brown that we get. Yeah.
Yes, that's fine. So who's the other St. Brown? Is my question. So basically,
you could almost argue Rodrigo.
okay.
Depending on if you're talking someone who's a top 10 at his position or drafted well or has played well above his draft value or his draft position. That's the way I think of it, and I think Rodrigo would fit into that.
I would argue that he's outplayed his draft position for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, like, if you're telling me, so like, I think I would take, if any GM in the NFL was 1 for 3 on their day 3 picks. Okay, calm, Donkey Kong. I love the enthusiasm, bro. I love it. That's ridiculous. I mean,
number one, he doesn't have a gunslinger, and nobody else on the other side because their star is hurt, right? That was how Puka came onto the scene. Was Cooper Kupp got hurt and he had to fill in.
So if
he was a great player.
Like, yeah, if Donkey Kong is right about this, though, he gets to be right about everything from now on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a nice bet to make. So we've been talking about, like, can you re-sign everybody? So I'm getting closer to the idea of yes. I still think it's probably a no, but I'm shifting toward yes more than I thought that I would have. Like, for example, I think they can sign all 4 of their 2023 picks to near top of the market contracts because they are lesser positions of value. And you're not talking about 35 million dollars. Like, George Kittle just re-signed for 19 something.
Tight ends. George Kittle signed for 22,850.
Okay, so like
almost 22.9.
If you give Laporta, first of all, you can pick up every one of those guys. Well, you could pick up Campbell and Gibbs 5th-year options, no fucking problem. Like, if you just want to pick up a middle linebacker's 5th-year option and a running back's 5th-year option, I'm happy to do it. You want to be 100% guaranteed? No problemo, bro.
Especially the way that they're playing.
Yeah. And then if you wanted to sign, like, let's say we're a year from now, right? And they say, all right, Gibbs, Campbell, we're picking up your 5th-year options. It's guaranteed. We're locking it in. Okay, Laporta and Branch, we're signing you to top of your position group money, and you give Laporta $23 million and you give Branch something like you just gave Kirby Joseph, you're fine. And then you do those other 2, the first rounders, the following year, you're fine. Because what are you going to do? Like, and then, like, that would be the same year that you could extend Terry and Arnold. Okay. Like, we're going into year 2 of Terry, and we don't know if he's even going to be on the team. You know, it's just too early. I would imagine he would be, but, like, it's just too early. So, like, you can give, it's the opposite side of the positional value spectrum, right? Like, you can just pay a lot more guys if their contracts aren't like I mean, if you're going to pay Hutch $40 million a year, which they could very likely do, that's, that could easily be 2 guys worth of money. That could be Branch and Laporta, to be honest. I mean, and you're just
he's worth 2 guys worth of money too.
He's probably he's 100% worth 2 guys, but that's just that's the thing, right? Is that as long as they are spacing this stuff out just a little bit, I think that it's completely viable through the 2024 class to extend all your first round picks and probably all your second round picks. Yeah. So what we did was we charted the next 3 years of cap hits for what I consider to be their pillars. Okay. And it's roughly the guys that you're looking at right now. So Goff, Decker,
Hutch,
Ragnow, St. Brown, Hutch, Sewell, Montgomery, Glasgow, which he might not even should be on the list, McNeil, Jameson Williams, ? DJ Reed, Kirby Joseph, and Derek Barnes. So there's a couple guys I just want to hit what their cap numbers are right off the bat. And that's the bottom end of the spectrum. So Kirby Joseph just got the biggest contract for a safety in NFL history. His cap hits for the next 5 years look like this. 2025, 3.8. 26, 5.8. 27, 9.1. 28, 13 million. 29, basically 18 million. And then in his first void year, it balloons up to 39 million bucks. So basically, he can play on the team until he is 29 years old for $18 million or less a season. Okay, whatever. That's Kirby Joseph, welcome to the Thunderdome. You're going to be a Lion for life. And if they then want to extend him at all, if they extend him, that 39 number goes away. And the first year of his extension, plus some of the 39, is what's going to replace his cap hit in the first year of his second extension, which then you can lob more void years onto and spread it out for even longer. So here's my guess.
And shrink the average.
Correct. Here's my guess. Kirby Joseph is going to play on this contract extension until he's 29 years old. He's then going to get re-signed going into his age 30 season in 2030.
Probably a 2-year deal.
Something like that. Something small so that you can renegotiate the void and then throw more void years on over it and then spread that big cap hit out over 3 or 4 additional void years, which will likely be 2 void years because I've never seen a contract have money in the third void year. I don't even know if you can do it.
So this is super interesting to me. So $39.1 million, the cap hit in his first void year, but he actually has, he's getting money each of the following 3 seasons as well.
On the cap.
So it must be, no, his cap, he's getting this money, right? The cap gets hit with 39 in year 1.
Oh, so then that's got to be the cash that the check they actually write him, right?
That must be. So all of the void years probably all get paid out in the first void year. Cap wise.
Yep.
Yeah. So after that, we have no cap hit, even though we're paying him some cash.
Right.
Which works great for him
it's
and
great
us, right?
Great for both, right? We don't take the cap hit, you're going to get a payday. It's like the Bonilla thing.
Yeah.
So Kirby Joseph, you are not a cap problem. You're just not. You're not a cap problem right now. And when you're talking by the time he's worth $17 million against the cap will have gone up $15 million plus for 4 years. So you're just not a cap problem. So before we get to Goff.
No, before we get to Goff. All right.
Derek Barnes, you just signed an extension. You are worth in 2025 $2.5 million.
Yeah.
9.2, that's your spike. You spike up to 9. Come on. Then in 27, you're at 4.3. and then we pay you 7.4 in the first year of your void. So that's your age. Once again, here we go again. That's your age 29 season. At this point, I would just be like, he's off the roster.
I'm sure he will be.
Yeah. Okay. Graham Glasgow, you're a $7.4 million cap hit this year. You are 8.4 in 2026. But if we want to, we can cut you and save $5.5 million. So effectively, this is the last year I think Graham Glasgow's on the roster.
Yeah, he's got no guaranteed money after this season.
You have Christian Mahogany, you have Miles Frazier. There's plenty of young guards who have. I mean, I haven't even mentioned Ratledge, who's going to be
a starter most likely.
Yeah, starter probably at right guard. So I mean, like, you already on the roster today heading into 25 have four of the five guys, and then 2 rookie contract guards effectively battling over the last spot.
Yeah.
So the line is done.
The only way he's on this roster after 25 is if we cut him and re-sign him to a cheaper deal.
Right. Yep. Correct. Yeah, I agree. Okay. You want to talk about Goff?
I just figured he was at the top of the list.
Let's go. Yeah, let's talk about the top of the list. Close that. Yeah. Okay. 32.6 this year. And then next year's the spike.
$70 million.
So not only does his cap hit go up to almost $70 million, he is 24% of the cap.
Yeah. And so when this first happened, I was talking with A6. He's like, well, by the whatever, it's going to be, he'll be not even the top 10 in the most expensive contracts. I'm like, yeah, but like, look at this. Like, none of the other guys, when you looked at Joe Burrow's contract, like the most that his cap percentage was like 17.9%. Like, this was the thing that really had me frustrated with Goff. I mean, I also don't think he's a $50 million quarterback, but the market says he is. I was not a big fan of having a spike so big when none of the others had the same thing. So in Brad we trust. So like, all right, there's got to be a reason for this. And I think we'll probably talk about the reason right now why we think there's a $70 million spike there and what we're going to do about it.
Hey, I have a trivia question for you.
Okay.
Without looking, what excellent quarterback in the NFL ranks outside the 10 highest paid quarterbacks?
What excellent? Excellent. Stafford's not in there. I'm not even sure. Goff might not even be in there yet. He might have dropped out of the top 10.
Goff is currently 7th.
7th.
You're right. Matthew Stafford is not in there. He is right below the player that I'm mentioning, that I'm thinking of. I think you'll be surprised.
Kirk Cousins?
Nope, he's in the top 10. The player I am thinking of is Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, yeah. He's at $45 million a year. Yep.
That's good.
Yep.
Donkey Kong is amped.
Yeah.
So
I think he's catching up. He must be catching up, chatting while catching up on the.
I also don't think that we get his responses very timely for some reason. I don't know what that's about, but I think there's a delay in when people are sending them versus when we get them.
That very well could be.
So when I look at Goff's contract here, I think he's the quarterback through 2027. And then he's cut in 2028.
So he has no guaranteed money in 2027.
But you're not even really saving. I mean, you're saving $25 million, but you're taking a $29 million cap hit to have him not play for you.
Right.
So
the question is, who do we go with at that point? Right? Did we draft high enough? Did we have an injury season? And all of a sudden, because of that, we had a bad record, and now we're drafted in the top 10. if that's not the case, I'm not sure how we get anybody before 2027. That's not him.
I have two offers. I have two ideas there.
All right.
Number one, you do the Sam Darnold thing, where you just prove it on some journeyman quarterback, and you put him in the shell, the roster, right?
Yeah.
That the Lions have created, and like, okay, you have a great offensive line, you have skill position players, you have a top 15 defense. Like, if you can't do it with this, you can't do it in the NFL, right? So,
yeah,
they're pretty deep at corner. Or number two is that you just mortgage the future to move up in the first round, and you give them an Los Angeles Rams God offer to go from 16 or whatever to 1
right.
to go get your guy.
Yeah, and I don't see it. That's not a Brad thing to do, right?
Well, he moved up 20 spots to go get Jameson. 32 to 12.
True.
So I mean, if you're sitting at 26, and
so here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
It may not necessarily be to 1, but like,
right.
if you went from like 26 to 8, it would still be an astronomical trade. But it would be a way to potentially like shed a contract of a player, like the Carolina did when they gave up DJ Moore to the Bears to move up. That kind of thing. Or you're just like, we control our next 3 first-round picks. Here you go. And then you put that rookie on the roster that you've built, and you just make a go with it with like day 2 picks, as much as you can possibly do to put around him until he develops, until you get your first-round picks back, at which point you need to probably refresh the roster. So, but like, I think that he's probably on the team through the 27 season, but with an escape hatch. And then more likely, I think he probably gets cut or traded or whatever before the 2028 season.
Here's a wrinkle for you.
Sure.
We win the Super Bowl this year.
Okay.
Does that still happen?
Yeah, I don't think.
Or does this dude have a job for life in Detroit?
No. I mean, he might be coaching in Detroit, but he won't be 40 and be playing quarterback for the Lions.
No, but you know what I'm saying? Like, if he wins a Super Bowl in either this year or the next year, are we really moving on from him that quickly?
Yeah.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. I mean, look how quickly coaches get fired in the NFL. Like, who was it? Was it Doug Peterson? Like, in 2017, he and the Eagles win the Super Bowl. And then, like, by 2019, he's coaching in Jacksonville. Yeah. I mean, I know that's Philadelphia, not Detroit, but like the attention span of people, decision makers in the NFL is nothing. They're like goldfish. So, I mean, like, Jared Goff will probably, if they win a Super Bowl this upcoming year, I think Jared Goff gets some kind of reward for doing that. Yeah. But, like, I don't think it's 3 more years on a contract. I think it's like, we'll rework something to be able to write you a check for $10 million more or whatever. But, like, I don't think it's.
So this is a huge number, right? In 26.
It's a huge number.
It's almost $70 million.
Yeah.
That's not what his cap number is going to be that year.
I doubt it. Because they'll restructure.
So we're going to restructure it. And I think, and especially if we win the Super Bowl this year, and I shouldn't say that word anymore, just from a jinxing perspective. But like, if we win the Super Bowl and we do restructure this, I think he's going to do similar to what Stafford did in LA, where he's like, yo, like, I want to be here. I want guaranteed money. Like, I don't want to have this hanging out over my head. Like, am I going to be able to play out my contract here? Guarantee me my money. And I think what's going to happen here is this number will drop, but the guaranteed salary will be boosted and boosted such that we will have to keep him on the roster through 2028.
Oh, I disagree. First of all, the supposition is very difficult.
Yeah.
Winning a Super Bowl, that's hard.
I think even without the Super Bowl, we are going to have to restructure that, and
Oh
I
yeah.
think he is going to want it when that restructure guaranteed money in both of these years because he doesn't have to restructure.
I don't think that's the way it works. I don't think you can add guaranteed money onto additional years when you all restructuring is doing is lowering your cap hit by paying some of that money up front to lower the cap hit in the current year.
So for Stafford's restructures, he got future guaranteed money. Like last year, he got this year's guaranteed, and then this year he's getting basically fully guaranteeing it and getting concessions for next year's guarantee.
Well, I mean, Jared Goff is 31 years old going into this season. Like Matthew Stafford is 37.
Right.
And going into his 17th season and is a better quarterback than Jared Goff. Like,
don't get me wrong. I 100% agree with that. But also at 33, 34, he's probably got years left in him.
I doubt it. I don't think so.
Really? Why is that?
Yeah, because he is simply not mobile enough. Like, he's not taking huge shots.
Right.
But, like, he is simply not mobile enough, in my opinion, to be able to continue to do what he's been doing. Like, there will be some athletic drop off in him as he goes into his early to mid 30s. Mm-hmm. And that might be the only thing that needs to happen to be like, oh, you were like the 12th to 16th best quarterback in the NFL, and now you're like 30th. Because you just can't do the minimal escapability that you had while you were 28, 29, 30.
He is a bit of a pylon.
I just don't think that you can continue to pay him 15, 18% of the cap when he's 34 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if there is a contract on the roster that will become detrimental to keeping other players on the roster, it's this contract. Right. So you can't just fuck with it and keep it on a respirator for however long. Like, you're going to have to at some point eat your vegetables and have like a major change. So like the next thing I want to talk about is Taylor Decker, who I think is in a similar situation, only at like a third of the price. So this website is I'm almost willing. It's so bad that I'm almost willing to like subscribe and pay a monthly fee just to get rid of the ads. So a lot of people
not me.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not gonna be held hostage by ads to do that.
Taylor Decker is the guy that a lot of people are like, he might be on his way out sooner than later, right?
Yeah.
Okay, they extended him. Gave him 2 more years. And this is the last year that he has guaranteed money in 2025.
Yep.
His cap hit, but he is basically 7.5% of the cap the whole time. So like, even though the cap number goes up and down, like, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're getting paid effectively the same thing every year. But the only thing that really changes is, can we cut you and save money? So like, I think that if they were to cut him in like 2027, so you're always a year ahead of me. I always want
the longer, like
the 3-to-1 savings to dead money ratio. I think that if they cut him in that year, that 3.1 accelerates onto the dead money in the year that he's cut. I may not be right about that, but there's some provision that I know accelerates dead cap hits. But like, once again, here we have a player who is in his 30s, but has proved it. So in my opinion, the same thing as Goff. How long are you going to keep him? Like, I would say he's been okay. Like, he's
He's
top
been
third
solid.
tackle in the NFL. But I mean, I was watching the Titans game this morning. We won like 52-14. It was a blowout.
Yeah.
But Arden Key went around him like 2 or 3 times like he wasn't even there. Like, and I'm like, who's Arden Key woke up for this game? What's going on? He does have a little bit of an injury history, and like I'm just wondering like how many like death by 1,000 cuts type of thing like a body can take. So like they have this plan in place, but if they were to move on from him, then okay, here's like now we're probably in line for a tackle. I don't see how Brad can continue to go BPA when like guys like this come off the roster.
Yeah. Yeah. The question of is he here in 2026, I think will be completely determined by whether there is a tackle on the board that we want to get in next year's draft, and do we go for them?
So why do you
If
give
there
him
is,
why do you give him a 2-year extension if you're going to cut him before the extension even kicks in?
well, I think it's hedging bets, right? Like, hey, we want to restructure to get cap numbers down in the short term, and then we can do that with the extension. B, if he keeps playing the way he does, we don't need to necessarily go out and reach for a tackle or hit a tackle if there's another need. So it gives us some flexibility. Whereas, hey, you know what? I know we don't have any guaranteed money here, but if we didn't have a tackle that fell to us, or if we needed to do something different in the draft, he's okay for another year. Let's do it. It's not a huge percentage of the cap. $21 million is, it's not chump change, but it's also not elite high-end money for a tackle. So you're good either way. I think this gives us flexibility.
Okay. So I want to jump to some other guys because you are on a time limit. Let's go to Frank Ragnow.
I don't know.
He is on the roster. This could be his last year.
Yeah.
He's got a cap hit of $14 million, then $16 million. No guaranteed money in either year. You would save $9 million if you released him after the season. I don't want to release him. I would let him play this out if he thinks his body can do it. Fine. He's not 30. He isn't 30 yet.
Right.
I'm shocked by this. Frank Ragnow seems like he should be 41 years old at this point, to me, being in a Lions uniform. He's one of the longest tenured players on the team. I definitely
I think
want
Decker
him.
actually is, isn't he?
I think so. I think he was taken in the draft the year prior to Ragnow by Bob Quinn, who wasn't all that bad at drafting no linemen. Okay. Please do not hate me for saying that about Bob Quinn. So
he had his moments.
Yeah, he had some. It's unfortunately the opposite of Holmes, right? Holmes is like we're looking for the bad ones, and like for Quinn, like we're looking for the good ones. And at least he wasn't Millen, though, right?
Yeah, I think the biggest problem with Bob Quinn was the choice in head coach.
Sure.
His drafting wasn't horrendous. It wasn't Brad Holmes, but it was okay. It was middle of the pack, I'd say. But his choice in coach and kind of sticking with him as long as he did was, I think, what really did it.
Yeah.
And Decker was drafted. His rookie year was 2016. It's been 9 years for Decker.
Okay. So I hope that Ragnow plays these 2 years because he's been great for us. Like he's an absolute Iron Man. Or I should say a warrior, right? Like he's a warrior.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take one look at. Okay, so so those are the guys I wanted to talk about. And then we have the first round of extensions. St. Brown, Sewell, and McNeil. So these are all Brad pick draft guys who have been extended. So who'd you pick? Oh, this is
I've got St. Brown.
Yeah. So
bad.
St. Brown is going to be 13, almost $14 million this year. Then he jumps to 33. Then then it's 28. But then look at 2028. He's 26 million against the cap, but if you cut him, you save 19 million bucks.
Yeah.
So you probably won't. They probably won't. But I'm just saying his extension looks like a 2-year extension.
Yeah. From a guaranteed salary for sure.
I mean, like, look at this though. I mean, like, all of his guaranteed money is in next season. So, I mean, why is that there? I mean,
I think
why
it comes
not?
back to flexibility.
So I understand it from a team perspective, but if you're St.
Yeah.
Brown, wouldn't you want to be like, well, I want some guaranteed money in, 27 and 28, like, give me that cheddar cheese.
Yeah, so his guaranteed salary was $37 million on the extension. Signing bonus is another 17-ish. So that's what, $47, $54 million. You got $54 million guaranteed out of it.
Yeah, it was a good deal.
And then most likely these are going to happen. Most likely.
Yep, I agree. McNeil is going to cost $6.1 million this year, which is fine because he's hurt. So he's not. It's not a liability money wise. So to me, that says you're paying him nothing. He's a 3rd-round pick. You're paying him nothing to be on the roster this year. They are gonna use the gentlest of kid gloves with him, and they'll be 110% that I hate saying shit like that. I apologize, but like they will be 100% sure that he is back and ready to go before he goes and suits up for a game.
Yeah.
100%. Because next season in 2026, it's almost 29 million bucks. Then it's 27. Then it's 29. But once again, basically a 2-year deal. And then you can get out of it with a huge cap saving, 3-1.
Right.
And then, of course, there's a little money on a void year. So even if through his void year, he won't be 30 years old. Yeah. So my thinking is the Lions are going to keep these guys up until they're at least 30, unless some terrible shit happens.
Yeah.
Penei Sewell is the one that's different. So Penei Sewell, down, yep, got it, is 9.5 this year. Then it goes to 28. Then it goes to 32. Then it goes to 34. So of all of the players that we have talked about, he is the only like stair step escalator that we have.
Yeah.
And
the crazy thing is no guaranteed money after 26.
Right. So once again, what we're seeing is all the guaranteed money is in the first year of the extension. Even if that's
not there's any scenario where outside of injury and freak retirement or something that he's not playing every fucking year, right?
He might have the most job security of any Lion on the roster. So I mean, like, if you want to talk about a Lion for life, that would be my vote.
Yeah,
like
probably Hutch as well. Those are probably the only two that I can see going. All right, you're here for the next 5 years. And as long as you want to be here.
Yeah, I mean, like, and I think of all the guys that we've talked about, he got the least amount of money out of the extensions.
Sewell?
Or like yeah, Sewell. I know that his cap hit goes up, but like I think that we got a deal with him and then he's gonna get back into the market before he's 30, at least.
Yeah. 28 APY. I think Saint was around that as well.
Saint's 30.
Yeah, 30, 120.
And then McNeil might be lower, but I think it's pretty close.
Come on. $24, but his total contract is $97.
Sure. So he got more money but less AAV.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are okay. And then we talked about Kirby. We talked about Barnes. DJ Reed, we could mention just real quick. He's got a little bit different format. He's 4.7 this year, then 18, then 8.1, and then we pay him 17 million in a void year. So he'll be 32 in the void year. So I could still see like a 1-year extension to like spread that out just a little bit.
Yeah.
But like, yeah. So he's. I think
none of
he's
these
going to be on
numbers
the
are
team.
crazy.
Yeah, he's not crazy. Okay, so those are the guys that we've extended. So who haven't we extended? We have not extended Hutchinson, picked up a 5th-year option, which will go away if they extend him before he has to play the league year starts on that deal. Same thing with Jameson Williams. They will extend Aiden Hutchinson. They will probably make him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL for however long that lasts. I don't know about Jameson Williams. I would keep him at a number. So like, I would probably do something like I would probably make him play on his deal in year 4 and in his 5th-year contract, and then I would talk about extending him because where does $15 million rank on this list right now? Cooper Kupp. So he on his 5th-year contract, the year in 2026 will be making what Cooper Kupp is making this year. So that's just a deal.
Yeah, I would expect that to me, if he is under 25, I say do it.
Yeah, my number is 25. Like if he said I want $25 million, I would be like, okay. That's mine. I think that's fine. Because
if he
this
wants
market,
30 though, then you got to be like, bro, you tell St. Brown that you're as good as he is. I dare you.
Well, I just don't think that that's going to happen, right? Like,
right.
So, anyways, if you're the one person still watching, by the way, thank you. It's probably Danny. So I don't know what they're going to do with Jameson Williams. My guess is Hutch is going to get extended this time next year before his 5th year kicks in, and then Jameson will play on the 5th year regardless. So
he'll be at 40 and a quarter.
Yeah, something like that. Something real close to that. So then all you have to worry about for future extensions are people like Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch. Then you have Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw as possibilities to be extended. What do you do with Malcolm Rodriguez? Is he the new Anzalone, who's an unrestricted free agent after this season? Or is he a depth piece that you want to stay? Like, will he leave because he thinks that he can start somewhere?
Right.
So he might be somebody that just leaves the roster. But then you're talking about needing 2 guys at linebacker, both at will linebacker. You can go out into
I think they keep Rodrigo, partially because it's his own draft pick, right? So they already felt like that's our guy, and that's why we want to get him. And if they let Anzo go, I think they know that they need to keep him around.
So here's a list of upcoming unrestricted free agents at the end of this season. Who amongst these players, Mike, do you want to retain? DJ Reader. Graham Glasgow. Quit it.
Alex Anzalone. Oh, shit, I got to move that back.
Alex Anzalone. Khalif Raymond. Amik Robertson. Josh Paschal.
DJ Reader.
Okay, he'll be like 33.
I mean, it wouldn't be a 4-year deal. It would be 2 years with 1 guarantee, just the first year guaranteed kind of thing. Probably Amik Robertson. I have not been super impressed with Paschal. I would probably let him walk. Who else was on there?
Reader, Glasgow, Anzalone,
walk.
Raymond, walk. Robertson, Paschal.
Reader and Robertson are probably the only 2 that I wouldn't let walk.
So I would offer an extension of some kind to the following: Anzalone, Raymond, Robertson, and Pascal in some amount, like to varying contract lengths.
Yeah.
I would probably do like Anzalone for 1 year, 100%, like $10 million guaranteed, something like that. And then Raymond, I would have, because now you're talking about, not only am I losing my punt and kick returner, who's an all pro at those positions, I'm also losing my a backup wide receiver, and he's the second fastest player on the team behind JMO.
I would consider Sione Vaki as a returner.
Okay.
And have one less thing to worry about. Like, okay, well, we lose Raymond, we lose our returners. I think Vaki could probably do it. I'd love to see. And as far as him being a wide receiver, he is, to me, quite a ways down the depth chart when it comes to what we've got or what he brings to the table. It's special.
His speed is special.
It hasn't been special enough for him to get too many reps at wide receiver.
Well, I mean, if we go back,
targets.
If you go back to like 21 and 22, I think that the numbers look way better because he was on the field, and then they hit with St. Brown.
We were bad and people were hurt or out,
or they're just
he hasn't been able to. Well, he hasn't been able to make the field when we've had quality people.
Right, and like so, he's just a quality backup at three positions. And like two of them are on special teams, which the Lions prioritize highly.
Yeah.
So I would re-sign Amik Robertson to like a 1 or 2 year deal, and I would see if Josh Pascal would take like a deal like Derek Barnes got, like 3 years, $30 million, and you're just a movable depth piece on the defensive line that you've been in the system, you fit their physical height, weight, speed profile. I don't think that he's been bad. I just don't think that he's stood out.
No, he's been a dude.
So he's a dude. So you give him a dude contract to stay on the team for another 3 years or whatever.
I mean, I wouldn't proactively sign him. I would see what free agency looks like and see if I can find any other dudes that are just as much of a dude. And all dudes being equal, I'd probably take him over another dude that I've never played. You know, if they're both going to sign the same contract, I would take the guy that's been here.
Right.
But I wouldn't be like, oh, well, before you, I can't let you hit free agency. Here's a dude deal, right? Let him test free agency and let us test free agency. Who's available? A lot of it comes down to who's available during those free agency years as well, like who's hitting the market. So,
and like I can't remember who they. Oh, it's Zadarius Smith, right? Like they let Zadarius Smith test the market, and he's still unsigned. And every day, week, month that he's not on a roster, like the price goes down.
Yep.
So I mean, like I agree that I think that like, it was Derek Barnes. They let Derek Barnes test the market, and that's why he's signing for like $8 million. To stay in Detroit. I mean, like people still have like lives and kids and families and houses and stuff outside of football that exists here. And if you don't resign, you have to uproot all that shit and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
So
you take $8.5 million to stay and not uproot your family, or take $9 million to make your kids go to new schools and find a new house. And
right.
It's not worth that extra $500,000 a lot of times. Especially if you love and respect your coaches and teammates.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to try to get away from a coach, then you're like, you know what? I'll take less to go somewhere else. But if you're like, hey man, I'd run through a wall for this dude, I think it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah. So I mean, I certainly think that if you're not a like foundational pillar player, St. Brown, McNeil, Kirby Joseph, that kind of guy, the Lions are going to allow you to test free agency. Because if you do, great, and then maybe you're a comp pick. If you don't, then you're driving the price way down, and they can get you back cheap. So what's the? I mean, I am a
No harm,
little
no foul.
surprised they haven't extended Hutch yet because there are other guys that could get extended in front of him. Mainly Micah Parsons is the guy that I'm worried about. But who knows? We could hear any day now. Oh, by the way, Hutch put out a new video where he's running and jumping and bending and all that kind of stuff. And he looks healthy, so I'm pretty thrilled.
Yep. I think I don't think it's gonna be a physical problem. I think it's gonna be a mental. Is he going to be apprehensive? And I don't think he will, but like that's the question to me is like, is he gonna be a little bit apprehensive? Is he gonna play a little bit less reckless?
This happened in college too.
Yeah.
Like he fucked his ankle hard in college and like came back and like was the finalist for the Heisman and fucked Ohio State. Like it was great. So like there's zero doubt to me.
Yeah.
Like if this guy has a green light, I don't know that it matters if he has legs. He's going to try and get through that wall or whatever. Don't even concern yourself about it.
Yeah. Right on.
So yeah, so that's our show for tonight. Glad that a couple of you guys stuck with us. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have any ideas for content, let us know. I'd be happy to look into stuff. Otherwise, we'll just keep saying our same old boring shit, or whatever. So I know
it's kind of the less interesting time of the off season. Draft's already done. OTAs haven't started yet. Free agency's done. You're like, what are we gonna do? So maybe we'll do some sort of grab bag. Start doing things like top 10 lists and who's on the Mount Rushmore for Lions. I know we talked about that in the past. So we may do some just random miscellaneous stuff.
Sounds good to me. I can't wait. Let's see. Unfortunately, our next show is in 1 week. And then the day after our show will be the NFL schedule release.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So maybe we could at least look at who they're playing. We know what teams we're playing, and we know whether or not they're home or away.
Right.
So we could take a look at that. But obviously, the order that you play them in matters. So that'll also be up. And then we'll get into like rookie mini camp, training camp, off-season workouts, that kind of stuff. Should be good.
Right on.
So
awesome.
All right, Mike. Good show, buddy. Really appreciate it. And I guess I'll see you next time.
All right. See y'all. Appreciate you. Bye.